What is up, YouTube? Welcome to PanFro Games. In today's video, I'm going to show you the best counters that you should build to defeat the 7-star Tera Rock Raid Chesnaught for Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. And of course, guys, if you like my type of videos, if you're new to the channel, please leave a like, subscribe if you're new. I really appreciate it, and consider joining the Pan Fam today by hitting that join member button below. So to begin, I made this infographic for Chesnaught to break down what we're fighting out here. So we know it's going to be a Tera Rock type Pokemon. Rock types have tons of weaknesses. It's going to be weak to fighting, it's going to be weak to steel, it's going to be weak to water, it's going to be weak to grass, and it's going to be weak to ground. So that's 5 weaknesses, a lot of different ways to exploit this thing. So of course, there's going to be Pokemon I don't cover in this video that are probably going to do well against this Chesnaught, but I like the ones that I picked overall. So it's going to have its hidden ability, which is going to be Bulletproof. Bulletproof makes it immune to pretty much any sort of bullet-style moves or bomb-style moves. This also includes Acid Spray. Who would have thought Acid Spray counts as this? But that's probably the most important thing. We cannot use Acid Spray against Chesnaught. Other notable moves is going to be Aura Sphere we can't use. We also can't use Focus Blast either. No Gyro Ball against this either. So there is a couple of moves that we are not allowed to use. Luckily, the strategies that we have with these Pokemon do not require these moves. But if you see anyone using Acid Spray, then it's not going to work, and then you're going to be Rip Bozo on them. Break down the stats. We know that Chesnaught has a massive defense stat, and that's going to go well with 88 HP. So hitting him on the physical side is definitely going to be a lot harder. It's not going to be impossible, especially if you exploit any of the 5 weaknesses this Pokemon has, but it is going to be a lot harder for physical attackers and special attackers because 75 Spadef with 88 HP is a little bit bulky, but it's not that bulky. It's not paper thin, but it's definitely not a bulky Pokemon. And this is actually going to set up a lot of turn 1 kill possibilities. While recording this video, I already know of 2 in my head, which will be covered later in a future video. But for right now, Chesnaught's move pool is very scary, and it's a physical monster. 107 attack. It's going to have all physical moves. Special moves, I doubt it. I honestly doubt there's going to be any special moves on this guy. Now, we're looking at Seed Bomb and Wood Hammer as the grass type move. There's always going to be one move that is going to be highlighting one of the types because it is grass and fighting normally, and now rock. We're assuming 1 grass, 1 fighting, and 1 rock. So Seed Bomb, Wood Hammer are the 2 physical grass attacks I can see it having. Wood Hammer is 120. It's going to do a lot more, and the recoil is going to pretty much do nothing to it. So Wood Hammer will be scarier than Seed Bomb, but we'll have to see which one we get. Hammer Arm and Close Combat are both scary. Now, Hammer Arm is a move Chesnaught learns by level up, and Close Combat is a move by TM. So there's a higher chance that it's going to have Hammer Arm than Close Combat. Both of these moves are pretty devastating. However, the big thing here is Close Combat will lower its defense and special defense. So I'm actually leaning more towards Hammer Arm because Close Combat would actually only end up hurting it in the long run and make it easier for us to take down. So I do think Hammer Arm is going to be the better move for Chesnaught in this case. It will lower its speed, but it's already really slow with 64 speed, which is a godsend because we can actually easily outspeed it with a lot of different turn 1 combinations, so we can easily defeat this Pokemon. Now, Hammer Arm can miss, so there is that possibility too. Now for the rock move. Looking at its move pool, there's really only 2 rock moves I can consider as viable. Stone Edge is the scary one for sure. I mean, 100 damage, high crit rate, so base 12% chance on that crit, which is going to be absolutely terrifying, but it can miss, and it's going to be stabbed because of that Rock Tera. Rock Slide, it could flinch us. It's 75 damage and 90 accuracy, so it has a little bit more accuracy than Stone Edge. But the big thing is because it's 64 speed, we're probably going to be outspeeding it with most of the Pokemon upcoming in this video. So the flinch really doesn't matter. So I really am leaning towards Stone Edge here. So once again, Stone Edge and Hammer Arm I think are 2 locks personally. And then I actually do think maybe Wood Hammer over Seed Bomb because they actually learns both of these moves by level up. And for the last move, there's a lot of different options, but I do think it's going to be a ground type move just because they end up being the strongest moves in its move pool, especially Earthquake doing 100 damage is going to be pretty massive, but it could also have Stomping Tantrum as well. Other options not listed here, but it could have low chance, could be like Dragon Claw, Shadow Claw, Iron Head. You know, there's just so many different moves, Crunch, but who really knows what we're going to see in this last slot. But Earthquake is just the strongest move, so I figured, yeah, let's build around that as well. Now, setup moves, this thing actually has quite a decent amount of setup moves. But good news, this thing, 1, does not get Sandstorm, meaning it does not get the 50% boost of its special defense in the sand because it is a rock type. So that's going to make special attackers a lot happier. and it has no mist. So no Inteleon memes. It's not going to annoy us like that. It does actually have taunt, but because it is slow, we don't have to worry about taunt in general. But the things I'm actually personally scared about is going to be Swords Dance +2 attack. It has a high attack stat. One Swords Dance on turn 0 can make this thing an absolute monster. Bulk Up, it does have a high defense stat, so it could increase its attack and defense as well. That's another thing we have to be concerned about. I think Spikes, just because that's a flavor move. It is a spiky Pokemon. Spikes could be an easy move it has, especially when you get knocked out, you come back in, you take damage. That could be a possibility too. And then Spiky Shield is his signature move, meaning it is a grass type protect, but if you hit it with a physical move, you actually take some damage back. So that could be a little bit scarier for physical attackers. I think in general, special attackers are going to be the key to win, but physical attackers will have a lot of other options too. It just won't be as easy. And I don't think there will be a turn 1 strat for physical attackers in this raid. Now, let's go into the Pokemon. And now for our special attackers. And Gholdengo is back once again, and he's a killer. And honestly, I'm not going to lie, for the one-shot kill, Gholdengo is definitely part of it, and he's probably going to be the best special attacker for this raid, and maybe the best Pokemon in general for farming with a group of 4. Now, you want to have Tera Steel, but it may not personally matter if you kill it on turn 1, and Life Orb is going to be a really great item for that extra damage. Potentially, you could run Choice Specs too, but it's unnecessary. We're going max HP, max special attack, modest nature, and it's going to be very simple. It's the usual Gholdengo set. Nasty Plot to increase our damage if we need that, especially in solos. Metal Sound to lower that best stat, especially in solos. And then Steel Beam is going to be our big kill move. It does have a chance to miss, so you could go for Make It Rain, which does lower your special attack stat by 1. However, both of these moves are going to be phenomenal and do a lot of damage, and actually both of them are going to be good enough for a turn 1 kill with Gholdengo. And like I said, we'll have a video going over that going up on the channel shortly, so make sure to check that out too. Now, the other special attacker I really like is going to be Magnezone. And Magnezone, from my calculations, can also do a turn 1 kill as well. It can be a little bit different, but it should be able to do it. We're going to go Tera Steel with a Life Orb once again, but of course you can go for a Choice Specs if you want a little bit more damage, but it's sort of unnecessary too. And we're going max HP, max special attack, modest nature. We're going to go with the ability Analytic. So if Magnezone goes last, it actually gets a 1.3 times boost to its damage, which is actually pretty helpful. You don't necessarily need this, but it does make a potential one-shot do more damage, you know? So it makes it a little bit easier to obtain, but also just in general for solos is just helpful too. You do have Steel Beam and you have Flash Cannon instead of Make It Rain. They're both going to be phenomenal moves. And you have Metal Sound to assist in lowering that special defense stat. But, you know, it is a 85% accurate move, so keep that in mind. There are better Pokemon that we have in the support section for lowering special defense as well. So you really just want to focus on, like, Flash Cannon or Steel Beaming and with Life Orb to do as much damage as possible. You do have Reflect. We just really needed a 4th move, but because we assume Chesnaught's going to be all physical, can't help to have a little bit of Reflect action going on here. Now for physical attackers, and number 1 is going to be Koraidon right here. We're going to be running the Tera Fighting and the Life Orb. Now I'll say this, it's going to be a little bit harder in general for the physical attackers than the special attackers, because that defense side of Chesnaught is so much higher than that special defense, so you're going to have to work a little bit harder. But I think these physical attackers will still be good for solo builds. Now, we're going to go max HP, max attack, Adamant Nature. Has this ability, which will further boost his attack as well. And the main thing here is setting up with Swords Dance, using Collision Course, because Collision Course is going to be super effective. It's going to do even more damage on top of that because of the move's ability. Drain Punch to give you back some HP, which will be Stab super effective. And Screech to, you know, lower that defense stat to make it even easier. So set up a Swords Dance, Screech, and then start owning him with Collision Course and get that HP back with Drain Punch. Koraidon's going to probably make this really fast, simple, and easy in general. Probably not as fast as the special attackers, though. But it's probably going to be really good for that solo because that Drain Punch sustain is going to be pretty massive for this build. Now, everyone's favorite Pokemon, Annihilate. And Annihilate, I'm running with the Shell Bell once again. And we're going to be going max HP, max attack, Adamant Nature here. Now, you could have probably Defiant as your ability instead of Inner Focus. You know, I got to change this ability, but I would recommend going with Defiant. It probably won't have a way to actually proc Defiant, but maybe Inner Focus, it could be better if it has Rock Slide and there's a flinch chance. That's another possibility, but in general, Defiant's usually a better ability, but I just don't see how Chesnaught is going to be lowering any of our stats, so I don't think we're going to be getting Defiant boost here. Now, we already know how Rage Fist works. Pretty much whenever we take damage, it's going to go up by 50 power, caps at 300, we even die, it keeps that cap 300 power, so we can hitting at max damage. Yeah, it's not super effective, but it is still stab, so it's eventually going to do more damage than Drain Punch in close combat, so you can probably start the fight with Drain Punch in close combat, and then eventually finish the fight with like a Tera Ghost Rage Fist that does 300. Of course, I always recommend having a Screech out here. Screech is going to be lowering the defense by 2, and if you get like 2 Screeches off, then you can start probably popping off with close combats until you die, and then you start Rage Fisting when you're at that 300 threshold and just get that Tera and you're good to go on knocking out with Annihilate. And our last physical attacker is going to be Iron Hands. I'm going to have the booster energy on the Iron Hands in this case. Essentially, it's a life orb, but it doesn't actually do any damage to us, so it's always going to be a good item in general. But there's also a couple of others. You could have the Metronome if you're going to be hitting one attacking move. But I just like the general booster energy too, because in case you use some other moves, it does break the Metronome streak. Now, we're going to have max HP, max attack, Adamant Nature. We can't change Quark Drive. We're not going to really proc it because no one's going to set up Electric Terrain, but that's A-okay with us. And it's going to be very simple for us. We have Drain Punch. That's going to give us HP back. We have Swords Dance. That's going to boost our attack by 2. Close Combat. That's our big damaging attacking move. And Belly Drum, which I don't know if we'll be able to get a Belly Drum off on here. You could change this to whatever else, like a Focus Energy. I usually don't use Belly Drum in these types of raids just because they usually do more than 50% damage. And we're not going to be that faster than the Chesnaught either. So you're probably better off with turn 1 Swords Dance, turn 2 Drain Punch, turn 3 Swords Dance, and then pop off like Close Combat, in this case of Iron Hands. But Iron Hands should be great. The only thing that stops is the ground type move. And next up is our supporters. And we're going to start with Berserker. The reason why we start with Berserker is because in the PanFro games community, when we do the raid battles or in raid in Discord, Berserker is going to be an absolute beast for some turn 1 kill possibilities. So your held item is either going to be a Wide Lens or a Mental Herb. If the Chesnaught does happen to have Taunt, then we want to be able to shake off that taunt so we can use our either Screecher, Fake Tears in support, or Helping Hand, and the Mental Herb will be incredibly helpful for getting that turn 1 kill done. Now, I'm running max HP, max defense here with the ability Steely Spirit. Steely Spirit is actually being incredibly important here. It further boosts the allies and your own steel type moves, and they do stack up to 3 times here, or actually 4 times if you have it yourself too, which is going to be pretty huge. You can run Adamant Nature for the Berserker in general, or you can go like a plus defense minus special attack nature as well. It's up to you on this, but this is going to be a more like supporting Berserker class. Now, our one damaging move is going to be an Iron Head. It's going to be stab super effective. It's going to be pretty decent. Unfortunately, we are slower than the Chesnaught, so the flinch chance doesn't really matter for us. And we have Sword Dance just in case things go wrong. But the big thing here is we have Fake Tears, which is 100% accurate. It can't go through shields, but it is 100% accurate. So we can Fake Tears on turn 1, do a lot of helpful Spadef drops. And, getting 3 Berserkers on your team, minus 6 Spadef on the Chesnaught. Bada bing, bada boom, 1 shot right there. But if you're with physical attackers, you have Screech as well. If you know who you're raiding with, you can replace one of these moves with like something like a Helping Hand. That can be really helpful. Just to note, Goldingo does not get a Helping Hand boost because it is a good as gold ability. But for any other Pokemon you team up with Berserker, yes, Helping Hand is going to be phenomenal. You can go offensive Berserker as well, but it's just not as good as the other physical attackers that I covered previously. And now our last supporter is going to be Corviknight. Corviknight with Wide Lens is going to be pretty helpful as well. And max HP, max defense. This one actually has the right nature plus defense minus special attack. The ability Mirror Armor, just in case. It doesn't really matter what the ability is too much on the Corviknight. Once again, Iron Head's going to be our damaging move here. I actually do believe Corviknight does outspeed the Chesnaught, but I could be wrong on that. Screech, Fake Tears is pretty much our 2 options. We can help the physical attackers and we can help the special attackers. Fake Tears, of course, always better than Screech, but it depends who you raid with. And I actually like Taunt in the last slot here. Taunt is going to be a solid move in general because I do think the Chesnaught's going to have a couple of setting up moves like Swords Dance or Bulk Up, maybe Spikes, maybe Spiky Shield. So Taunt to remove that possibility is always going to be good, especially what if it also has Taunt itself? So you can taunt the Chesnaught before it taunts, and then there you go, you're good. So now you don't have to worry about anyone in your team not being able to set up. So keep that in mind. But there's a lot that you could potentially do with the Corviknight moveset. And I really do like Corviknight because, you are quad resisting the grass. You are neutral to the fighting. You are neutral to the rock in general. You have a massive HP and defense stats in general. So overall, this is probably going to be the better supporter than Berserker. I would recommend only using Berserker if you do have stats with steel type Pokemon, maybe like Magnezone or Goldingo, where you can do like some fake tears and absolute destruction turn 1 moves. But there we have it, guys. Those are the Pokemon I recommend building to destroy this 7-star raid, Chesnaught. I think it's gonna be the easiest raid yet. I will have another video out probably sometime tomorrow or maybe the day after with some easy one-shot strats that you can do with your friends or in the PanFro Games community. Well, guys, if you enjoyed the video, please leave a like, subscribe if you're new. I really appreciate it, and I'll catch you guys next time. Peace out and have a great one.